what do we think about the direction that they're heading into as we get into Double or Nothing coming up?
I loved Copeland King. Adam Copeland has become like my favorite performer. I think he's done a fantastic job adapting to AEW. We had talked to a friend of ours who doesn't like the House of Black stuff, and I can't disagree with it. I mean, they've straddled the spooky line. Like no one's got I don't know, maybe sometimes I don't know. Like there's no one that has magic powers. I'm of the mind that if you get misted and you're a piece of shit to begin with, it's just like, just you're a piece of shit. So I try not to think of it as magic. I think of it as just like, it's a justification for being an asshole. As far as the creative direction of the show right now, I will say this. I enjoyed the work rate of Harley Cameron and Mariah May quite a bit. Good wrestling. Enjoyed it. I'll be honest, man. I think the show's flat right now. I think we're in a creative lull. I think Tony Khan, you know my opinion? I think Tony Khan's burnt out.
Yeah.
I think he's burnt out creatively.
Yeah, we discussed it on Overtime on Sunday that he was kind of burnt out. And I'll be honest, and maybe I'm just a little bit burnt out because I had the opportunity to watch the whole show last night. I did. I had the TV to myself for like 2.5 hours, maybe almost 3 hours. Because my wife and kid were doing other activities, and then my wife put my kid down to bed, and then she immediately went to bed right after that. So I had the time, but I was catching up on X-Files reruns. like I was like, I really should watch Dynamite. So I got up at 4 this morning to go for my run. I'm training for my fitness test in a couple weeks. I'm getting pretty close to where I want to be. And so I immediately got back and I watched the first hour of it. And then after we get off the air here, I'll finish it. I did see the ratings. Looks like the ratings were up a little bit. So I guess that's a pretty good sign. The demo god himself lost viewership like significantly, I guess.
Speaking of burnt out.
Yeah, speaking of burnt out, I think we've talked about this before. I think it's time for Jericho to go away for a while.
I agree. I've said it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. He needs to go away. He needs to get himself back in shape. And that's not me fat shaming. You can just tell the difference between an in-shape Jericho and an out-of-shape Jericho. Mm-hmm. And right now the guy is out of shape. And I think that's a fair comment to make because he's an athlete. And so you can say that about athletes. The guy is just out of shape right now. And you can tell he's probably running a little bit too hard, and he's in his 50s, and so it's probably time to go away for a little bit and come back. And in fact, I actually sent a message to King of the North last week because Matt Hardy looks great. He's got abs, like in the best shape of his life, and I sent him a message like, "Hey, Matt Hardy's looking better than Jericho is right now, dude," because he's giving me crap about Hardy being in TNA. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't think this learning tree thing is working for me with Jericho. But I'm with you. I think it might not be drawing big ratings and big money, but I like the Adam Copeland stuff. I think he's great.
Me too.
You know what? And like he's a guy that was a WWE system guy for 20 years, and he's finally out of the system. And he's like getting to do all this cool, new, exciting stuff, and like the twilight of his career, kind of made me wonder like what it would look like if like a Randy Orton or somebody like that, like ventured over and did some AEW stuff. Like I know Randy Orton's probably never going to do that because of the whole Jacksonville Dixie thing that happened, but just somebody like that. I think it's kind of cool seeing him in this environment and what he's able to do.
Like I said before, I've been on board with this Copeland thing from the whole time. Like I didn't like his WWF stuff where he was WWE stuff where he's sitting there and monologuing and doing the thing in the chair. But that worked for that audience. And I respect him for understanding the differences of the audience. Right. And his work is really good right now. Like I just enjoy watching him work, and like he comes across like a star, and he's never been a big draw. Like it's just throughout his whole career, he's a great guy to have. And I think him playing like the locker room, like he is the guy that CM Punk claimed he would be, right?
Yeah.
Locker room leader, helping people out. I don't want to be in the main event. All these young guys, like Adam Copeland's actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that I just like this run, and he's not in a position where he has to be the guy who draws. They'll put him in some main events with some TVs, but I mean, that's like it. And that's fine. I mean, like you need a guy that you can put in a TV main event on occasion that can do good pay-per-view matches that people have a connection to. They're always going to pop when they hear Ridge. I think he's been a fantastic pickup for this company. I bought the Pure Plank, for sakes. What a great device, by the way.
Yeah. You know what I'm not really feeling either is the Orange Cassidy Trent Beretta thing. And I was like interested at first because I've just never been interested in Trent Beretta. But I was like, hey, you know what? Let me see what this guy can do as a heel. Let me just see. And I think I've seen enough. I think I'm kind of over it already. The match was okay. You know, they did some brawling and stuff like that, but and the angle afterwards I just didn't find to be very good. I think the bringing in Don Callis, I don't know if it helps or hurts it. I'm probably gonna take a wait and see approach, but I think that whole thing is just kind of cooled off for me.
I agree. I like Trent's work, but that's always been the thing. Is Trent's a good work, but I mean, like his charisma is just goofy, right? Which is why the best friends kind of work. But it's comedy stuff. Like you can't ever like push him. Like Orange Cassidy is special, right?
Yeah.
Like he is comedy, but he can also when he gets going, it's really good. Which is that's the Orange Cassidy gang, always has been. I think I think Orange kind of needs to go away a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's been nothing
He's
added to him since losing the international belt, or yeah, it was the international belt. Like he's felt very flat. Like I'll be honest, man. I think he's burnt out creatively right now.
Yeah, I think he's burnt out creatively, and I think Joe and Rich brought this up on their show last week that they're not pushing the right people. Like Will
No,
Ospreay's going for like the whatever title, the international title, and
is he? Where is he?
Mercedes Moné should be absolutely challenging Tony Storm, and then eventually defending the title against Willow versus going for the TBS title. Like nobody, like what are we doing? You know what I mean? And then Okada is. Don't really mind Okada as a Continental Champion, but I kind of like the fact that Christian's kind of a weak challenger for Swerve. You kind of almost want like Okada in that position, but then again, you don't want Okada to lose, so there's that issue. Like the whole thing just seems like kind of a mess. Heading into Double or Nothing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The company is a mess right now. Like we were in a good spot coming out of Revolution into Dynasty. Things were looking pretty good. Post
Yeah.
Dynasty, it's a disaster right now. Like they're not pushing the right people. Like Tony, he's off. Like I don't I and Rich put it really good on their show last week, where it's like excuse me. I see what the elite is doing right now, and they're doing it well. But and I agree with Rich. You said like I just don't want to see control of the company storylines from AEW because we saw that for 20 years in WWF and
Yeah.
WWE, and we saw it in WCW, and I
And
just
TNA.
in TNA, and I
Yeah.
want the company to be in control of the company. I just want wrestlers to wrestle for titles. Like I don't give a flying fuck who controls the company. I don't
Yeah.
care who's got the power to make matches. Like that's not the sports based stuff that I wanted. I really think this is what I'm talking about. I think that, and again, every time someone from WWE gets released, people go, "Oh, you got." I love your jokes. Like, "Oh, they got to hire this mailroom guy from WWE." I mean, who else knows how to sort the mail?
Yeah.
Like, just I just want something different, and they're not doing it. I'll say this: Jack Perry's been pretty good since coming back.
I,
All of a sudden, he knows how to cut a promo.
yeah. I think Jack Perry's doing very good.
Mhm.
I like the matchmaking for the Elite versus Team AEW. The problem
I'm
is
not,
they're calling it Team AEW.
it's so uninspired.
It's like they
That's
all work for
so
AEW.
yeah. It's so that's like it's very something WCW would have done.